Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So today I'm going to take you guys for a first drive in this 2022 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. I'll show you quickly. This is the key fob that comes with it. You probably won't be so lucky to get that sweet 26 on the back of it, but a pretty chintzy, cheap key fob, which we've grown accustomed to with Toyota at large, right? But you do not buy a Toyota for the key fob, right? So I'm going to take you for a quick spin in this and kind of offer my initial impressions of it. A lot more to follow, of course, outside of this video, as I had this for a week from Toyota, but I wanted to kind of voice my thoughts as I get behind the wheel and drive it. You guys know I've owned the previous generation Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, a few of them at this point, and I also owned a few Ford Raptors. So I think really there's a lot of comparisons that one could draw from this to the Raptor, right? Both sharing a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, right? Granted, this is a hybrid variant with a giant battery underneath the rear seats here. So a lot to compare to, and I'll kind of voice those thoughts as we get behind the wheel, of course. So I'll show you the back end, then we'll jump in and take it for a spin. Tell you what, I love all the details and the styling cues of this. Seeing it in person, it has changed my opinions of it, truly. And the more I look at the back doors here, look how high and deep, that's probably not the best way to say this, but look how high up the actual door goes and far back to the actual back end of the truck. So you only got like what, maybe 2.5 inches right here, but look how big it is, right? So I think that kind of gets lost on people. It got lost on me, because when you look at the previous generation, it just had a huge back door seemingly, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is it is bigger than you think when you actually see it here in person here. All right, hopping in. You guys have already seen the interior in my previous video, but you either love it or you hate it. The red camo interior, it definitely makes a statement for sure. I would argue that this really does cater to, the 30 years old and younger demographic, right? I do like this. I love the red seat belts. I think that's cool. But I think if I were to choose one, I would opt for the black interior. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't like this too. I think it's creative, it's unique, and I applaud Toyota for doing that. So let's go ahead and hop in. We'll see how this goes. One thing that I have already noticed is when you put your foot on the brake, hit the kind of a cool red TRD push to start button here. That's new, of course. It takes a second to actually fire up. So you can see me, I'm gonna push it here. Then you can see how long it actually takes to quote unquote fire up. And then now it fired up right there. So it takes about, 2.5 seconds there, where it's not immediate, which it's just a small thing, but it's something I noticed already. All right, guys, let me put on my seatbelt here. Try not to make this totally ridiculous for you. I do have a GoPro. I should probably do that. All right, guys. So push the side button, back to drive, and yeah, we're off. So I'll get on it here for you so you can see that. So rolling super slow and pedal to the metal. So definitely has a lot of giddy up and go. And you hear the turbo a little bit spooling up. You hear the intake as you're on throttle, which is cool. The sound feels pretty synthetic. I gotta say, and I hate saying that, but it feels like they truly try to replicate the V8 sound. And to my understanding, and I actually don't know this 100%, but I think I recall seeing other reviewers talk about they actually pump in, a fake sound, a fake exhaust note through the speakers here, and you can. Just doing that right there, it definitely felt the case. I mean, it feels like they truly do that, which I don't like so much. We'll hang it right here. So already, just off that turn, you can feel that this is so much lighter, much more lighter on its feet compared to, so it must have lane keep assist on right now, because it just pulled a little bit to try to center me. So it has that going for it. I guess either you love it or hate it. You can always turn that on or off, of course. But so far you can tell it's far more nimble than the Tundra, the previous generation Tundra. The previous generation Tundra, I remember I actually traded in my 2019 Ford Raptor for it, and you immediately feel the heft to that vehicle by comparison to the Raptor. The Raptor is just, the lighter weight engine up front, and this has the same engine up front. So you can already tell that there is a closer comparison to the Raptor beyond the previous Tundra there. So you do have some rattling in the back, but to be fair, that is from the kiddo's car seat, kind of rattling back there. We do have all 3 kid seats back there, so I can kind of give you a look at that another day and kind of show you what the fitment really looks like. I can get used to this. I do like this giant infotainment screen here. This is nice. The whole fully digital display I can do without personally. I have grown to appreciate the old, quote unquote, old analog clusters. I appreciate that. Whereas, so much could go wrong with this, right? Granted, it's just a matter of swapping out the screen, but I do appreciate the older gauge clusters, the analog rather. So I'm gonna get on throttle again real quick, get a glimpse. Hopefully the sound is coming through for you guys. So I'm gonna go full throttle right here. It does sound good. I like that, but just knowing what's underneath the hood, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. And maybe I'm being a little too critical here, too harsh on it, but I don't know. I know why Toyota didn't offer that 5.7 liter V8. I mean, emission standards are tightening, and of course with fuel costs going up too as a piece of the equation. I know why they're not doing it. They want to make a conscious effort to be a little bit more green and distance themselves from being, that carbon footprint, less of a carbon footprint throughout the brand. And I understand that, and I respect that too. So, and I like to be open-minded to this kind of stuff. When we're trying to incorporate hybrid, battery-powered EV vehicles, I like to be open-minded to it. So I don't totally want to write this off because I love that previous generation Tundra. So up here, here in a minute anyway, we'll get on a freeway. So looking at the gauge cluster, you get the max battery there to the right, and then the iForce PSI for your how many pounds of boost the turbo's pushing right there just to the left of that max gauge. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Maybe I'm just being too old school. The hood feels much bigger in this compared to the previous generation. This is kind of a similar feel to what you would see in that Raptor, the Gen 3 Raptor. Granted, the Raptor does have a little bit more of a bulge in the center of the air vent. It does sound good. So we're going to merge onto the freeway here. Good visibility overall, no complaints there. It does feel a little bit smaller height-wise here with the windshield compared to the previous generation. I might be wrong on it. It feels smaller. A little bit more tight, but it's not bad by any means. There's good visibility all around. So I am looking at the road for the record, but I'd be curious to know what you guys think about that Toyota, the classic script, Toyota script across the glove box there, the dash passenger side. But the red strip here, kind of replicating what you would find in a Raptor, of course. I don't know. I could do without it in a Tundra. I think the whole color scheme of the interior here really does just appeal to the younger crowd, which is smart, right? I mean, I think that the folks in their late 20s and early 30s are the folks really buying this vehicle. Oh, bebop up here. I like the feel of the steering wheel. It's nice, premium feeling. It feels nicer than a previous generation for sure. A little bit more of a design to it. I don't always wear shorts, but when I do a driving video for you guys. And the more I looked at this, I had mentioned this was that I liked it in that previous first impression video. I don't know. The more I look at it, it does kind of look kind of cheap. And look, I like that they made an effort to do something there, but I just don't know. I think it kind of looks like what you would find at AutoZone, or you know, like off the shelf there to make it look sporty, like what you would put on your Honda Civic. So maybe I'm not that big of a fan of that piece. Turn around here. Get back on the freeway. I just wonder how much of that truly is pumped in through the speakers, and hopefully it's coming across okay, because it does sound good while you're in here, and it sounds strangely familiar, or similar I should say, to the 5.7. So I don't know, I can't help but feel like they have gone out of their way to try to replicate that and pump in that synthetic sound to match it. It does feel so much tighter in the turns. The suspension feels much tighter. So I mean, the overall feel and nimbleness of this is clearly superior to the previous generation. You're buying that previous generation strictly for its simplicity and of course reliability. There's no additional frills in that one compared to this. You have all this additional tech here. I do love this wireless, the Qi wireless phone charger there, where you just put your phone up against it. It has been finicky for me. It hasn't, I mean, it's worked really about 50% of the time. Granted, I should have made this clear from my first video, but it is a prototype. This is a prototype TRD Pro. Got a little disclaimer written up there anyway. So forgive me for not making that clear. I think I wish this was black up here, the entire headliner, and of course the grab handle here. I wish that was black to match, you know, the Tacoma, right? I think that would have been an easy thing for them to have done to enhance the feel for it. As I look out here on the hood, I don't know, I keep going back and forth to it if I like the TRD Pro, like the air vent. I don't think they're functional. We can get a closer look. I don't believe these are functional. These the corner vents that say TRD Pro on them. I think they're just a tacked on piece of plastic, which I am not too impressed with as I look out over the hood anyway. And I really just have come to appreciate less is more, which is why you know, you guys know I love Toyota at large. I love the 5th generation 4Runner because of this reason. I think that will go down in history as the perfect blend of everything. Reliability, especially since the 2020 refresh of that 4Runner with the additional tech and whatnot. I think that'll go down as the one to have as we get that next generation 4Runner 2, which will likely have a 4-cylinder turbo variant, which we know, right? So I'll get a little more umph through here. It's very responsive, we'll give it that. So once you can tell it has that additional horsepower and torque immediately when you put your foot on the pedal, which is nice. The previous Tundra it was more dramatic, right? When you put your foot on the throttle, it would just, it would downshift one gear and just begin to just roar. I say dramatic on purpose because it doesn't accelerate all that fast, right? Because it wasn't wicked fast, but it was no more than what you needed, truly. And I never found myself, longing or lusting for more power in that previous Tundra. This one here is miles ahead of it when it comes to performance. But again, that can almost get you in trouble, right? Doing, trying to keep it under the speed limit, of course, and it's easier to do with that 5.7, I think. And it being more dramatic added to the thrill factor, right? It was more enjoyable to experience that. Yeah, before my time is done with this, I do hope to at least experience a little bit of trail riding. Nothing extreme, of course. You guys know me. Not about to get sporty with the loaner vehicle here, but I do want to run it down at least a bumpy dirt road, light trail, and just try to experience that and see how it feels. I've yet to go through all the tech within here and to feel all this out. It is a little daunting, the giant screen. A lot of buttons in here, but everything seems to be very straightforward. You got your volume knob here, your temperature up and down here, up, and then your fan speed right next to it, and then your passenger side temperature to the far right there. So very intuitive, very user-friendly for sure. So Toyota clearly made a conscious effort to make things simple in here, even with the added complexity. So we'll pull over here and I'll pop out. We'll do kind of closing thoughts on it. Let's see if we can handle it. So one huge perk. Let's see a tight turn here. Let's see, make sure no car's coming. Okay, all right. One huge perk, that did that pretty well. One huge perk of that previous Tundra that I loved, loved, was the amazing turn radius. You guys, if you owned that previous Tundra, you know for a fact how glorious that was. Here you go guys, here's my off-roading. I'm getting sporty, getting a little crazy. Yes, I mean, obviously nothing real there, but handles that so smoothly. But yeah, that previous generation had an amazing turn radius, which if you own that vehicle, you truly love that. And that's one thing that you quickly miss when you go to a different vehicle. Like I own the Dodge Ram Cummins. I own the Raptors, of course. Let me show you this real quick before I hop out. But yeah, all those other vehicles don't quite compare when it comes to the amazing turn radius, which comes in handy as you're parking and just driving around town. Let me show you. This is what 3 large children's seats back here, car seats, look like in the back seat of this 22 Tundra. And like the point I was trying to make earlier, I probably didn't do that good of a job, is you have so much headroom coming in and out of it. There's no, sometimes they'll kind of close up right here. It goes all the way to the end and opens up. So I think you have plenty plenty of room back there. Alright guys, sorry I made this a 20-minute video, but I don't know. I am becoming a believer in this 22 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. I am becoming a believer, and not to mention this midnight black metallic is really growing on me, and I wish it wasn't, because if you have OCD at all and you buy if you buy a black vehicle, get ready to be tested, right? Because you're gonna have all the little the paint swirls, the micro swirls all throughout it. It's inevitable. If you just look at it funny, you'll get some scratches. I tell you what, it is sleek. I'm definitely impressed with it. A lot of you had actually made the comment of, you know, all of the additional styling cues, like the digital camo here on the fender flares, you know, the bits up here on the hood. Let's see if this is functional, by the way. I doubt it. No. Okay. So make sure I'm giving you guys the truth here. You know, all the additional, like the light bars, just makes it look a little bit more kiddie. But that is not how I would describe it. I think they've done a great job at making it aggressive, modernizing this a ton over its predecessor. It's just a matter of the type of person you are, what you value and what you like. So I think there's goodness in all of it. This is long overdue, right? Then again, you can make the argument, why fix it if it's not broken? So I understand there's people on both sides of the coin, and you can do that all day long with Toyota, I think. But I'm impressed with it. I am looking forward to sharing more content with you on this Tundra. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see and get honest feedback on, I'm your guy for that. I'll try my best to be transparent with you, and I'm not trying to hype it up with hopes of Toyota sending me more vehicles. You know, I'll try to shoot you guys straight on it, and hopefully you can appreciate that. So thanks for watching. As always, more to follow.